Whatever they were doing, they wanted this operation to be done in secrecy.
Well, what the hell happened to the inhabitants of the area? Like people who lived in that small village. What did they do with them?
They just told them to stay away. Like they just literally kept them away.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So what we do know about this operation is, I want to say it's kind of limited because, like Dan said, a lot of the documents are still classified and haven't been released. But what we do know is that this operation consisted of the Bulgarian military moving into this region of Sarachina, and they began an excavation site there in which they pretty much started digging a hole. And that hole ended up being 160 meters deep, and it was sort of like a long spiral-shaped tunnel. So it wasn't like they dug straight down. It was like a weird spiral thing.
Yeah.
Now, during this digging, the army personnel would start reporting bizarre things happening, such as strange lights, UFOs in the area, and they also stated that they felt weird energies flowing through them, which I have no idea what the hell they meant by that. Do you?
I do not.
No? Well, good for them.
I'm charged.
Digging this giant hole, all of a sudden, the Bulgarian military just stopped it. And they filled the entire tunnel up with concrete, and then they gathered all their shit up and moved out. Kind of like they were never there, as they were passing by the villagers that were standing on the side of the road with tents. They're like, hey, it's been 2 years, you guys can go head back.
Right. So that leads us to ask the question, what were they looking for to start an excavation site in a small town that honestly was barely known to anyone? Even people in Bulgaria wasn't even really sure of this area. It was just so small. So no one really outside of the country knew about Sarachina.
All right.
So for us to get a better understanding of all this, let us go back to 1989 before they started digging. Now, Bulgaria was still a communist country ruled by Todor Zhivkov, but his own party, the Bulgarian Socialist Party, forced him out of office in November of 1989. With the fall of Zhivkov, Bulgaria had pretty much adopted being a parliamentary democracy, and the BSP won the first post-communist parliamentary elections in 1990.
So the BSP, which was the Bulgarian Socialist Party, they won the election by a small majority. But it didn't really matter because it all went up into shambles because they were brought down by a general strike in the late 1990, and they were replaced by a transitional coalition government. Now, if you don't know what a general strike is, it's okay. Let us fill you in real quick, all right? So a general strike would be a stoppage of work by a substantial number of workers in many different industries across the country. Now, they all do this at the exact same time, so it's like an organized endeavor. And they do this because they want to achieve some type of economic or political objective. And this general strike, of course, was a political objective. They stopped all work, and the BSP got their asses kicked out, and they brought in this new TCG, the Transitional Coalition Government. All right? And I know what you're all thinking. I don't give a shit about governments. What does this have to do? Just hold on. Just hold on. Dan will let you know here in a minute, okay? So, Zuliai Zulviv, and I'm pretty sure I butchered his name, all right? But he was like a communist-era dissident. Now, this dude would be elected president by the parliament in 1990, which he would then go on to win Bulgaria's first presidential election.
All right. Like I said, you're probably thinking, oh, whatever, it's the political stuff, we don't care. That's cool and all, he won the election. But what does this have to do with the Sarachina hole? Well, all of you wonderful third-kinders, let me tell you. With the fall of the Communist Party and the transition to the parliamentary democracy, they had a few issues in 1990. Specifically with their economy, they were low on monies. That's right, I said monies. They needed more funds. So they needed a way to bring up their economy, and it seemed that the leaders of Bulgaria, for some reason, had a thing for having psychics around.
Damn, so they like those fortune tellers. They're like, keep some psychics around. We want to know the future.
Exactly. And hey, we did an episode on one of them. I'm not going
Yep.
to say their name, but I'm pretty sure y'all can guess it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so with that being said though, the Bulgarian army, or the Ministry of Defense, had heard about a treasure that was possibly hidden in the area of Sarachina. So this would be the secret treasure of Tsar Samuel, which would be their official reason for the operation going on.
So that was the reason why they went and dug the hole, was because of the secret treasure of Tsar Samuel, or whatever the hell his name was?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
That was their official reason.
Well, who the hell was this Tsar Samuel dude?
He was the Tsar of the Bulgarian Empire, ruling from around the 980s to when he supposedly died from like shock or something in 1014.
Oh, he was the first Tsar.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so he supposedly died from shock when his soldiers, numbering around 15,000, were returned to him completely blinded after he lost the Battle of Cleidion against the Byzantines.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I got a little history knowledge nugget for you real quick about this Battle of Cleidion.
Oh, we're having a little Aaron history lesson?
Oh, yeah. It's a little Aaron history lesson. Okay, it's not as long as my usual history lessons, but I couldn't miss this opportunity. Okay, so let me give you a little knowledge nugget about this Battle of Cleidion. All right, and they pronounce it a really weird way. Okay, it's spelled Kleidion, but they pronounce it like Cleidion or some shit like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so here's some history, and I want the class to get an attention. All right, Dan, front and center.
I'm here.
All right, so like we mentioned, this Battle of Cleidion was between the Bulgarian Empire and the Byzantine Empire. Now, the leader of this Byzantine Empire at the time was this 56-year-old dude named Basil. So this Basil dude ran a tight ship when it came to his armies. He wanted everything perfect. Now, there was something else about Basil, is that he had quite a few generals. But one of them was his favorite. It was his ride or die general. It was like his main man. You know, whenever he would go out and smoke a few, this general would go with him. And this ride or die general's name was Botniates. Now, he has a really complicated name, but his death wasn't that complicated. Spoiler alert. So the Battle of Cleidion happened, okay? And the Byzantine Empire kicked the Bulgarian Empire's ass. Well, after that victory, Basil's favorite general, this Botnice dude, was sent out with an army to clear a certain area. So he rode out with his troops and, you know, they looked around, cleared the area, and everything was all good. And they started heading back to Basil's camp. Now get this shit. On their way back to Basil's camp, as Botnice was just riding along on his horse thinking, hell yeah, I get to see my best friend. We kicked ass in this battle. He's going to be so proud of me and he loves me. He was just riding along thinking that, you know? All freaking bushes or wherever they were at. And Botnice was killed. Now, how he was killed is pretty debated among historians. Some say that he was killed with arrows, that the Bulgarians jumped out and shot him with a bunch of arrows. Some historians say that the Bulgarians threw rocks at